Okay, so, all right, number one. So hopefully, question number one's an easy one. Hopefully it is.
Right, standard.
Question number one. So it says, write in standard form. I'm going to write the problem down. You don't necessarily have to, though. So we have negative 3x plus 5x squared minus 8x3 plus 1. Okay, it said put it in standard form. That simply means put it in the correct form, okay? So which term should have been first? Should negative 3x have been first? Which one should have been?
Negative x to the third.
Negative 8x to the third. Again, watch the negative, okay? Negative 8x to the third, then positive 5x squared, then negative 3x, then 1. What determines the order? Powers. They go from what to what?
Highest to largest.
Highest to smallest, okay? And what's the degree? Third degree, because it is the highest power, okay? So hopefully that one should be an easy one. That one should be an easy one, okay? Number two. I don't think number two is any more difficult, but it takes a little bit more time. It says 2x3 minus 5x squared plus 4x minus 1. Then it says find f of negative 2. So what are we going to do? Let's find f of negative 2. Any thoughts?
Times everything by negative 2.
What's that?
Times everything by negative 2.
Don't times everything by negative 2. Yes, ma'am.
Substitute the x for negative 2?
For which x?
All of them.
All of them. And plug in, I mean, literally, what did I do with this x right here? I plugged in negative 2. So you know what I do over here? Plug in negative 2 for all the x's. When you plug it in, put it in parentheses. Okay, so we have 2, negative 2 cubed, minus 5, negative 2 squared, plus 4 times negative 2, minus 1. I ain't done any calculating. I simply plugged in negative 2 for all the x's. And we're not done yet. We got to simplify this thing. Okay? And if you guys haven't figured this out already, I mean, the review is just like the test, okay? It's just like the test. Different numbers, though. But with that being said, I gave you a negative number to plug in on this question. What kind of a number do you think I'm going to have you plug in on the test? Negative number. It's going to be a negative number, okay? It's going to be a different function. It might be negative 5. I don't know. Okay? So, do we times first or do powers first? Powers. Negative 2 to the third. Be careful. It's not negative 6. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Negative 8. So 2 times negative 8 minus 5. Negative 2 squared is negative 2 times negative 2, which is a positive 4. Okay. So we have 2 times negative 8 minus 5 times 4 plus 4 times negative 2 minus 1. Then we multiply. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Minus 1. And I know there's even students in this class, they're like, I struggle with negatives. Can you use a calculator? Yes, you can. You can use a calculator. But negative 16 minus 20 more is negative 36. Take away 8 more is negative 44. Take away another one is negative 45. Grab the calculator on Tuesday. Okay, so you just plug it in and simplify it.
What does the f mean by the 2?
Just
It's like,
the function. What's the function at negative 2? What's the value at negative 2? Okay, this is number 3. This is one that you're going to probably look at and go, what does he mean here? And I'm going to put it up here and I go, oh, yeah, I remember doing that, but geez, I forgot about that. That's why we're reviewing. Okay, the end behavior, okay? So, what we really need to look at is really just the first term. That's the one that's the most important one. I keep using the analogy of a cash register. You dump out all the money, and I gave you 30 seconds to estimate how much money's in the register. You wouldn't count your pennies, nickels, and dimes. You'd count your 20s and 10s and 50s if there's 50s in there, okay? Negative 7x to the third is the big one. That's the one that has the biggest impact on the function, okay? So, does this sort of look like a parabola if it was negative 7x to the third? Does it kind of look like a parabola or not? No. Why?
It's odd.
What, the 7's odd?
Power.
The power's odd. So, it doesn't look like a parabola. Either goes sort of like this or sort of like that. One of those two. Which one is it, the solid one or the dotted one?
The dotted.
Why?
It goes down.
Goes down. How do you know it goes down? Because it's negative. So, it sort of looks like this. It looks sort of like that. Now, we're not done. And you don't even have to draw it. I would draw it. I would definitely draw a picture to myself on this one. And then we have to describe the end behavior. So, writing it out in words is good, but it's not good enough. You won't get full credit. You only probably get half credit if you put it in words, okay? We're going to write it in words first, and then we're going to write it mathematically, okay? So, what happens as I go to the right? What happens? As I go to the right, this thing's going what? It goes down. What happens when I go to the left? I'm going to leave space here. As I go to the left, it's going up. Okay? I mean, literally, as I trace this as I go to the right, it's going down. As I trace it to the left, it's going up. Okay? That's good if we write that, but that's again, not good enough. Okay? As we go to the right, the mathematical symbols, we go right and left is X. X, arrow, how far to the right? How far to the right can I go? As far as I want. So how far is that? Infinity. Comma. Up and down isn't X. It's Y, but I don't want you writing Y. What else could I replace Y with? Usually we place Y in for something. When we see something, usually we cross this out and put a Y there, and it's on the board here already. F of X. F of X is the same as Y. F of X, it goes down. Down how far?
Who knows?
Forever. So infinity, careful on this one. It's going down, so it's not infinity, it's negative infinity. Because it's going down. So how am I going to write as we go to the left? X, arrow. What are we going to do for this X arrow if we go to the left? How far to the left? As far as we want. We're going to the left, so is it infinity? To the left? Negative infinity. Okay. It goes up. So again, up and down is Y, so F of X, arrow, and it goes up. So infinity or negative infinity? Positive infinity. Ooh, that was terrible.
Trust me, mine are like this.
If you struggle,
Yeah, mine are like 8s, but like that.
turn your paper sideways and make an 8 if you really struggle. Okay. Now, you might want to make a note to yourself here, okay? For this, the way you write mathematically to the right is X, arrow, infinity. How do we write to the left? X, arrow, negative infinity. How do we say up and how do we say down? We don't say X, we say Fy, which is F of X. F of X, arrow. If it's up, it's positive infinity. Down is F of X, arrow, negative infinity. It's been a while since we did that. Good news is there's only going to be one question
I
like
don't
that.
ever remember doing it.
You don't remember doing that?
No, I do not.
You don't?
It was probably your virtual. Yeah,
Was it virtual?
Probably.
And I'm not being judgmental here, but I tell you what, if you didn't watch the videos, then you don't remember this. Well, you don't. And
Videos, I just don't remember doing it.
I will say this. I'm not going to name any names, but my Algebra 2A class, they're actually having their Chapter 3 test. Algebra 2A is like Algebra 2, but it's a little slower paced. And they're doing their Chapter 3 test today. It has to do with like the quadratic formula and stuff like that, including squares. I had a few people say, when did you ever tell, what's the quadratic formula? I've never heard of the quadratic formula. And I'm like, okay, you didn't watch the videos during the lockdown. So. Okay, let's keep going. All right, number 4. Okay, question number 4. This is another one that I really think should be an easy one. So we have negative 8x3 plus 5x squared plus 4x minus 1 plus 2x4 minus 7x squared minus x plus 8. Okay. Now, not only do I want you to write the sum, but I also want you to write them in the right order, okay? So what I mean is this. First off, what could I combine with negative 8x3? Which of these can combine with negative 8x3? None of them. Okay, so that's going to stay negative 8x3. Is that the first term? Look at the whole thing. Is that the first thing we're going to write in our final answer? No, what one should we really look at first?
2x.
And what can I find with that? Nothing. So just put down 2x4. And I'm going to cross it off. And then, is that the next one we want to look at? Negative 8x3? Or not? Yeah. And what did we say we combined with that? Nothing. Then we want to look at our x squareds. We have 5x squareds, and watch your negatives. Negative 7x squareds. 5 and negative 7 is negative 2x squareds. We put together 5x and negative 1x, which is positive 3x. And negative 1 and positive 8, which is positive 7. We're just, all we're doing is adding like terms. That one really should be, just other than watching your negatives, you know, that one really shouldn't be that bad. Okay, number 5. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to write down the original problem, okay? What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to write down the first part of the problem. I'm not going to write the parentheses. That first set of parentheses. Let me write that. I will write this down just for a second. If I add negative 2x squared plus 3x minus 7. What I'm getting at is this. What's sitting out front here that you don't see?
An X.
Not an x.
A 1.
A 1. If I distribute a 1, what happens?
Nothing.
Nothing. So I'm going to get rid of those parentheses. I distributed the 1, the parentheses are gone. Now be careful though. On the other set of parentheses, there is something sitting out there, a negative sign. When I distribute a negative sign, what happens? Be careful when you say, I like that better. I heard somebody say it turns everything negative. I think it's better to say it makes everything opposite. It's not wrong. Just to me, it sounds like if it makes everything negative, it means everything has to be negative. If it was negative before, it turns a positive. So I'm going to write down, I'm not going to write down 6x3. I'm going to write negative 6x3. I'm not going to write down 5x squared. I'm going to write negative 5x squared. And then positive 9x. And then positive 8. And then combine like terms just like you did on number 4. Okay? I'm not going to look at negative 2x2 first. I'm going to look at, good, negative 6x3. I can't combine anything with that. But I can put together negative 2x squared and negative 5x squared. That's a negative 7x squareds. I can also put together 3x and 9x. That's 12x. I can also put together 8 and negative 7. That's a positive 1. So really, number 5 is really not any different than number 4, other than you have to change all the signs on the second set of parentheses. We'll do this. We'll go till 9:30, wherever we're at, okay? So I want to get through a lot of this today. Number 6. This one should be an easier one. We have 3x squared, 5x3, minus 2x squared, it's 8x minus 10. Okay, so we're going to distribute negative 3x squared. And you need to remember that when you multiply your bases, we do what with our exponents? If I gave you this right here, x4 times x5. What's x4 times x5? X to the, is it 20 or is it 9? 9. When you times, you add. Now, if you say 20, that's a very common mistake. It's a very simple mistake. It's totally wrong, though, okay? You might make note to yourself here that when you multiply, you add your exponents. So, this one starts off with negative 3 times 5 is negative 15, x to the 5th, 2 plus 3. Then negative 3x squared times negative 2x squared, negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6, x to the 4th. And then negative 3x squared times x. Now be careful here. You might want to put a 1 on that x. X to the first might make it a little bit easier. So negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. x2 times x1 is x3. And then negative 3x squared times negative 10. Negative 3 times negative 10 is positive 30 x squared. As long as you can remember that when you multiply your bases, you add your exponents, that one really shouldn't be that bad. Okay. Number 7. Find the product. That means we multiply x minus 2 times x plus 3 times x plus 5. How do we multiply 3 things at the same time? You can't. It's impossible. And which 2? It doesn't matter. I'm going to do the last 2 first. Okay? Let's FOIL this thing out. Okay? First terms are x times x. That's x squared. outers are x times 5, that's 5x. My inners are 3 times x, which is 3x. And my lasts are 3 times 5, which is 15. Now some students, they go right in and start multiplying by x minus 2. I would do something before you do that. I mean, you can do that, but could I clean that up a little bit?
Yeah.
Put those together. X squared plus 8x plus 15. Now times by x minus 2. So we're going to multiply everything first by x, and then later on by what, 2? Is that what we're going to multiply by? Negative 2. Watch the negatives. So x times x2 is x3. X times 8x is 8x squared. X times 15 is 15x. Then we times by negative 2 times x squared. It's negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times 8x is negative 16x. And negative 2 times 15 is negative 30. And we've multiplied everything by everything, but we're not quite done. Got to put our like terms together. So x3, we can put together 8x squared and negative 2x squared, that's a 6x squared. 15x and negative 16x is negative 1x minus 31. Okay. Number 8, this is another one. This is kind of like the problem with the infinity symbols, that it's been so long since we did it. Number 8, it's been a while since we did this question, and we only spent like a day or two on it. It was x plus 3y to the 4th. What you could do, and this is not the way I want you doing it, and it's not the way I'm going to do it, is you could do x plus 3y, don't write this down, times x plus 3y, times x plus 3y, times x plus 3y, and FOIL, 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 FOIL. That's not the way I want you doing it, okay? I mean, up here we did, we foiled and foiled a couple times, but here, that's not the way I taught you. I just showed you another shortcut on how to do it, okay? Anybody have any idea how, no? Okay. You guys remember this thing?
Oh, I
You guys remember what that thing was called?
so much.
Something triangle, some sort of triangle. Pascal's triangle,
Remember what?
okay? Pascal's triangle. Okay, Pascal's triangle. Where am I getting these numbers from?
From the ones above.
What do you mean the ones above?
Because one.
What's the next row? One.
And then 4, 6.
What are you doing?
I'm adding the
Thank you.
the numbers.
You get any number, you add it. So I was looking for that one word, adding. You add the two numbers above it, okay? Okay? So 1 plus 4 is 5. 4 plus 6 is 10. 6 plus 4 is 10. 4 plus 1 is 5. 1. Okay. Now, the top row is not row 1. The top row is row 0. This is row 1, row 2, row 3. Basically, if you ignore the ones, this is row 5 because it starts with a 5. It also ends with a 5 if you ignore the ones. This is row 5. For this particular problem, what row do we need?
4.
How come 4?
Because it
It's fourth power. So we need the fourth row. I'm not going to give you this triangle. And you should be able to create it on your own. Again, how'd you do it in one word? Added. You're just adding, okay? That's all you're doing is you're adding. So I need 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. So write down 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Then we write our two terms. X, 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 and X, and 3y. 3y, 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 3y. Again, there's no surprises on test day. This isn't done, by the way. There's no negatives here. There's no negatives here. Are there going to be negatives on this question on your test? No. No. If there would have been a negative here, there would have been so every term is going to be positive. Okay, that makes it a little bit nicer. Then we got to put our powers in here. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. How did I know to start with 4? Fourth power. And then what do I start with here? 0 and count up to 4. Okay. And the next thing we do, we cross off the powers of 0. Be careful on this. Why do I cross off anything to the power of 0? Because anything to the power of 0,
Get 0.
it's not 0. It's 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. And here's why. We're timesing. Okay? What number do I never really need to times by? 1. Why? It doesn't change. Now, when he times by 0, does that change things? If I ever multiply, yeah, it makes whatever you have 0. Okay? When you times by 0, it can change things. Okay? But when you times by 1, you're not changing anything. So cross off the zeros. Cross those off. Okay, so what we have here is 1 times x to the 4th, which is x to the 4th. Now, this is where some students get stuck. Be careful on this. We take 3 to the 1st. 3 to the 1st is 3. I am not going to write 3 right here. Anybody know what I'm going to write? Not 3. Look at all of it. Not 4. What do parentheses mean? Times. So I'm not going to write 3 and I'm not going to write 4. I'm going to write what? 12. Where'd 12 come from? 3 times 4. 12. 12, x to the 3rd, y to the 1st. Okay, let's look over here. 3 squared is 9. I'm not going to write 9. What am I going to write? Got to know your times tables for this one. 54. Where'd 54 come from? 9 times 6. 54. X to the 2nd, y to the 2nd. And for this next one, I'll be your calculator, okay? I'll be your calculator, so just tell me what to type in. We take 3 to the 3rd. 3 times 3 times 3, you should know that one by now, 27. Am I going to write down 27? I'm going to write down 27. What'd you say? 27 times 4. 27 times 4, which is 108. 108 x to the 1st, which is just x, y to the 3rd. Then we take 3 to the 4th. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 81. Am I going to write down 81 this time?
Yeah.
This time I am. Why? 81 times 1, which is 81. 81, how many x's do I put down?
0.
X's?
0.
How come 0? I cross it off. Y to the what? 4th. And then you don't need to combine like terms. It's all combined for you. It's done. Okay? It is. Help me out here because I can't remember. Did we do this in person or did we do it virtually? We didn't do it virtually? Okay. And again, and I don't want to be like, I told you so, but if you didn't watch the videos, yeah, it's totally foreign to you. So, okay. Let's do this. I want to do number 10 first, then if we have time, we'll do number 9. Let's do number 10 first. I want to get through all the first page here. Let's do number 10. Okay, it says x3 minus 4x plus 6 divided by x plus 3. Synthetic division. You have to do it synthetically. Okay, you have to. If you do it long division, I'm not going to give you full credit because I want you to do it the method I want. So, what goes in the little box here? Where'd negative 3 come from? Opposite of that, negative 3. Okay? And then the top line, what's going to go first? Be careful. You don't put, when you do synthetic division, you don't put x's in there. You don't put x's. You put just numbers.
So you put
1. Where'd 1 come from?
You pull it
1x3. Then what?
then negative.
Good. Be careful. Not negative 4. Not negative 4.